He was born in shadows, a child whose first cries were drowned not by joy, but by fear. This is the story of Nightcrawler, the blue-skinned mutant whose past is as mysterious as his teleporting powers. But before the world came to know him as a hero of the X-Men, his very existence was shrouded in secrecy and danger. The tale begins with Raven Darkholme. The world would one day know her as Mystique, the shape-shifting mutant who could mimic any face, any voice, any life. But in the years before the X-Men, Mystique lived with a curse of her own. Her natural blue skin and yellow eyes made her a target, hunted and hated by humans who feared what she represented. And then she fell in love, not with a human, not with a mutant ally, but with a man of great influence, Baron Christian Wagner, a German nobleman. He was powerful, wealthy, and above all, kind to her in ways the world never was. For a time, Mystique believed she had found safety. She believed she could finally live among humans without hiding. But fate had other plans. When she gave birth, the truth of her bloodline revealed itself. The child was not pink-skinned or human-looking like his father. He was born with indigo fur, a prehensile tail, and demonic golden eyes. The Baron's child was no noble heir. To those who saw him, he was a monster. The villagers whispered. They spread rumors of witchcraft, of a child sired by the devil himself. For Mystique, there was no hiding this truth. Her powers could not disguise the baby's tale. Her illusions could not silence his cries. Baron Wagner's heart broke under the weight of the scandal. In some versions of the tale, he dies shortly after, his health destroyed by stress and heartbreak. In others, he abandons Mystique when he sees the child. But the result was the same. Mystique, alone, carrying a child the world wanted dead. And so began the first tragedy of Nightcrawler's life. Mystique fled into the night with her newborn in her arms. But she was not fast enough. The villagers followed her, torches and pitchforks in hand, chanting to burn the demon spawn. They saw not a mother with a child, but a witch carrying a devil. Desperate and cornered, Mystique made a choice that would haunt her forever. She cast her baby into the river. With her shape-shifting powers, she escaped into the crowd, blending into another face. But the baby drifted away, alone. This is the moment that could have ended the legend before it began. Nightcrawler, abandoned, doomed to drown, his story cut short before it started. And yet, fate once again intervened. The baby was rescued by Margali Zardos, a Romani sorceress traveling with a circus in Bavaria. Margali took the strange child in, raising him alongside her own children. She gave him a home not as a freak but as family. The circus gave Nightcrawler his name, Kurt Wagner. A performer, an acrobat, a boy who learned to leap, to twirl, to vanish in a puff of brimstone smoke. To the crowd, he was the demon child. But to the few who loved him, he was simply Kurt. Still, deep inside, there lingered the shadow of his birth. Why was he different? Why did his skin carry the same cursed shade as the mother he never knew? Why did his body echo something far more sinister than just a mutant gift? The answers would come later. But the truth of Kurt Wagner's parentage, the shocking truth of who his real father was, remained hidden in the dark. For now he was safe. For now he was just a boy with laughter in his soul. But destiny had carved a much darker path. And soon, the truth would drag him back into the same shadows from which he was born. The world believed Nightcrawler was simply the child of Mystique and Baron Wagner, a tragic tale of a mother who abandoned her demon-looking son. But the truth was far darker, and it would change everything. Because Nightcrawler's real father was no ordinary man. He was Azazel. Azazel was not human. Not mutant in the way the X-Men understood. He was something far older. A being of ancient evil, said to be one of the first mutants on Earth. His powers were beyond comprehension. Teleportation across dimensions, demonic energy, and immortality. In the shadows of history, he was worshipped as a devil. Cultures across the globe painted his image in myths of fallen angels and hellish demons. And for centuries he sought one thing: to return from his prison. Banished to another dimension by angelic forces, Azazel needed children on Earth, children who carried his blood to break free. Mystique was one of his chosen pawns. Her ability to shapeshift made her strong. Her hatred for humanity made her vulnerable. And in a moment of weakness, she fell under Azazel's sway. From this unholy union, Kurt Wagner was born. This is why Nightcrawler looked the way he did. The blue skin, the yellow eyes, the tail, they were not simply mutations. They were the mark of his father, the mark of a devil's child. Mystique, already feared and hunted, knew the world would never accept him. The child was proof of her shame, proof of Azazel's corruption. And so, she threw him away, not only out of fear of the villagers, but also out of fear of herself. But Kurt did not know any of this growing up. To him, Margali Zardos was his only mother. The circus was his only home. He lived, he performed, he laughed. And yet, deep inside, the question haunted him: who am I really? The truth revealed itself years later, when Azazel returned. One by one, mutants who shared his demonic traits began to vanish. They were his children, like Kurt. Azazel sought to use them as sacrifices to open a gateway between his dimension and Earth. Nightcrawler found himself pulled into this nightmare, face to face with the father he never knew. Azazel revealed everything: the story of his imprisonment, his need for children like Kurt, and his claim, "You are my son, my blood, my heir." For Kurt, it was a revelation that cut deeper than any wound. The kind-hearted, faith-driven man who dreamed of peace was the offspring of the world's greatest devil. The very powers he used to save lives, the teleportation, the acrobatics, the demonic appearance, all tied back to the most evil being he could imagine. The irony was cruel. For all his faith in God, Kurt was born of a demon, and yet, this was also his greatest test. Azazel tempted him just as he tempted Mystique before. He offered power, belonging, and family. But Kurt rejected it all, because he was not defined by his father's sins. He was not a demon. He was a hero. The battle between Nightcrawler and Azazel raged across dimensions. And though Kurt triumphed with the help of the X-Men, the scars remained. Not physical but spiritual. Every time Kurt looked into the mirror, he saw his father's face hidden within his own. Every time he prayed, he wondered if heaven would ever accept him, or if he was doomed by blood. The world never knew the full truth. To the X-Men, Kurt was their brother, their heart, their joy. But deep inside, Nightcrawler carried a burden few could imagine. The son of Mystique, the heir of Azazel. A child of shadows fighting every day to live in the light. And this is why Nightcrawler's story is one of the most haunting in Marvel's history. Not because of the battles he fought on the outside, but because of the war he carried inside his soul. After the truth of his parentage was revealed, Nightcrawler's life would never be the same. It wasn't just the question of where he came from. It was the question of what that meant for his soul. Born of Mystique, abandoned at birth. Born of Azazel, a devil in human form. Could someone like him truly walk in the light? Could a man with demonic blood ever hope to reach heaven? Kurt Wagner wrestled with these questions every day. Not on the battlefield, but in prayer. Because what set Nightcrawler apart from every other X-Man was not just his blue skin or his tail. It was his faith. His unshakable belief that no matter how dark the world became, there was always light waiting to be found. But imagine the torment, to bow his head before a cross, knowing his father was the enemy of angels. To ask forgiveness, while believing that his very existence was tied to sin. This is why Nightcrawler's story is more tragic than most. He was not like Wolverine, cursed with bloodlust. He was not like Cyclops, weighed down by leadership. He was not like Storm carrying the power of gods. No. Nightcrawler carried something far heavier, the burden of identity. And yet, that is why he became the heart of the X-Men. Because despite the pain, despite the doubt, despite the whispers that he looked like a monster, he chose kindness. He chose forgiveness. He chose to smile. But his battles were not over. Azazel remained a threat. Mystique remained a ghost in his life. Every time he looked into her eyes, he wondered, why? Why did you leave me? Was it fear? Was it shame? Or was it because she saw Azazel in him? Mystique, of course, would never give a straight answer. Sometimes she claimed she regretted it. Sometimes she said she had no choice. And sometimes, with cruel honesty, she admitted she never wanted him at all. For Kurt, this was a wound deeper than any blade. Because forgiveness was easy when it came to enemies. But to forgive the mother who abandoned you, that was the true test. Through all of this, Kurt became something more than a mutant. He became a symbol. A symbol that no matter your origin, you could still choose who you are. This is the heart of Nightcrawler's story. That blood is not destiny. That heritage is not fate. That even the son of a demon can become a man of God. Marvel often shows heroes battling villains on the outside. But Nightcrawler's greatest villain was always on the inside. The fear that one day he would give in to Azazel's darkness. The fear that one day, the world would stop seeing him as a hero and start seeing him as a demon. And the fear that heaven itself might not open its gates for him. Yet this is where Nightcrawler shines. Because he never lets that fear win. He proves that faith is not the absence of doubt. It is the courage to face doubt and keep believing anyway. This is why Professor X loved him like a son. Why the X-Men trusted him with their lives. And why even in death, because yes, Nightcrawler has died before, his story still inspires. When he sacrificed himself, when he gave his life for others, there was no question of his soul. The heavens opened. And even angels recognized that the son of Azazel was not damned. He was redeemed. And so, Nightcrawler remains one of Marvel's most powerful characters. Not because of his teleportation. Not because of his agility. But because he embodies a truth we all need. That no matter your past, no matter your blood, no matter your scars, you can still choose to be good. The child of Mystique. The heir of Azazel. The demon who became a saint. That is Nightcrawler. And so the question remains, when you look into the mirror and see your demons staring back, will you let them define you? Or will you, like Kurt Wagner, fight for the light? Because sometimes, the most powerful hero is not the one who saves the world, but the one who saves himself.